Crash and burn.
Hey everybody! So tonight I am going to be discussing Guns N' Roses' 1993 covers album, and that is, of course, the Spaghetti Incident. First off, I think the title should be addressed. When I was a kid, I was told the story that this was the incident that ended the band, that they were out to dinner or something in an Italian restaurant, perhaps, and there was some spaghetti thrown. That was part of the story I got told way back. And that was it. The band was like, fuck this. You're not throwing spaghetti at me. And that was it for Guns N' Roses. But I've since found out that the truth is way back when Steven Adler was still in the band, he kept his stash of drugs next to the rest of the guys in the band, sort of Tupperware containers filled with, at that point, Italian food. And he referred to his drugs as spaghetti. Then in the years since his release, since being released from the band, he sued them, of course, and his lawyer brings it up and he referred to it as, so tell me about the Spaghetti Incident. And apparently the band found that funny enough to use as the title. So that's apparently the real story, not that nonsense I heard back when I was a kid. Now, look, I don't love this record. I don't usually get on board for covers records, especially with a band like Guns N' Roses. I knew going in back when I bought this when I was a kid that this was going to be hit or miss, and it was probably mostly going to be miss. And considering that they opened up with Since I Don't Have You, that's like just about the worst song they could open this up with. I would have said Human Being is like, it sounds like Human Being was a great track to open this up with. It almost like Axl's voice makes that song almost sound like an original Guns N' Roses song. So I found that maybe had they opened with Human Being or even Raw Power, something like it would have sounded more like a proper Guns N' Roses record. But it was just so anticlimactic when it opened up with such a soft, sort of dated sounding ballad. And considering that the last thing that we heard from Guns N' Roses technically would have been My World at the end of the second Use Your Illusion, of course. And I know that song was fucking hated by everybody. I loved My World. Now, by this point, by the time that Use Your Illusion 2, the Use Your Illusions were released, I was already really into Skinny Puppy. And the first CD I bought was Cleanse, Fold, and Manipulate. So I could get on board with what Axl wanted to do with the band, with My World. So I thought it was rad, but nobody else did. And so the last thing we heard was My World, and then the first thing we hear off their fifth studio album, which is this, is Since I Don't Have You. And it's just kind of a lackluster, boring way to open this record. And I knew right from there that this was going to be problematic. And sure enough, it was. On here, the only songs I loved were Ain't It Fun, which they had sort of a legit radio hit with. It was on... Oh, what the hell is that guy's name? Tarzan Dan used to count down the popular songs on whatever radio station he worked for on YTV at that point, and Guns N' Roses' cover of the Dead Boys' Ain't It Fun from this record was doing well. So I thought Ain't It Fun was fun. I also liked Human Being. I loved Down on the Farm. I think the best song on here is their cover of Fear's I Don't Care About You. Truth be told, I always felt that they did a better job with this song than the guys in Fear did originally. Guns N' Roses' production's bigger, Axl's voice is more angry, and when I heard, this was the first song, this is actually, the first version of I Don't Care About You that I heard. So inevitably, throughout the course of time, I would end up tracking down Fear, the record, and I would hear it on there. I think it's on there at least. Well, it doesn't matter. And I find that Fear's version is smaller and less chaotic and less scary than Guns N' Roses' version. It's like Fear sort of kept a leash on the song, and Guns N' Roses just let that song go fucking wild, because Guns N' Roses' cover of Fear's I Don't Care About You is superior to the original. They cover the Misfits are on here, they cover Nazareth, the Stooges are on here, they do the New York Dolls, and these just aren't songs that I'm going to connect with at all. I knew that again going in. Guns N' Roses were such a traditional rock band with a heavy punk rock influence, but I knew that this record was going to have tracks like Buick McCain and Hair of the Dog, which great songs, they're just not great for me. And so I liked the artwork. The artwork was really remarkable. The use of spaghetti on it is easy to spot from across a room. So I thought that was cool, but overall, this just, I don't know, I just don't love it. there are some great songs on here, and the guys in the band, they do a really good job with every song, but I just don't care. And that is where I'm going to leave it. So thank you so much for hanging out with me for, 5.5 minutes while I discuss Guns N' Roses' 1993 release, and that is the Spaghetti Incident. I'm not even sure if I said that at the start. But anyways, like always, if you like this review or you like this record, don't forget to do something nice for somebody. But most importantly, please don't forget that the world is a much better place because you are in it. I'm getting out of here. Gonna go talk about Rage's Evil Empire. Have a good night.